Welcome back to the Slushy Film Podcast with me, Nick. Of course, this is a conversation show all about film and television. And in today's episode, I have multiple things that we're talking about. House of the Dragon Season 3, now that it is officially over, we're going to dive into that. I want to talk more about Spider-Man Brand New Day. If you listened to the last episode, you know how much I enjoy that. And we're going to take a quick look ahead into what's coming up in terms of TV shows for HBO Max. So let's go. Okay, do we like the setup today? I'm holding my mic. Gotta do what you gotta do. Change the setup. It's been so hot where I live, and so my upstairs, which is where my office is and where I normally film my podcast, is very warm. So I moved downstairs to sit on the couch. So I'm sitting on the couch with you guys, and we're going to talk about some what I feel like has been some super successful work that's been done in the film and television world. House of the Dragon Season 3, now that that's officially over, I wanted to talk about that. I know I haven't mentioned it much at all on this podcast, but I just finished that the other night, so I'm really excited to talk to you guys about that and how much I enjoyed it. We're going to quickly dive a little bit into Spider-Man Brand New Day again. Thank you for all the love and support. And if you watched any of that or listened to any of that episode, that was last week's episode where I really dove into that movie. However, you know, I love it. So we're going to talk about it more today. And then a little quick preview on Lanterns, the DCU show coming out on HBO Max now that House of the Dragon's over. It's actually coming out, if I'm not mistaken, this is out on a Friday, so it's this upcoming Sunday. So 2 days from when you're listening to this, or when this podcast episode was released. So super excited about that. If you were listening to my last podcast episode and you got all the way through, thank you. Also, I mentioned how I'm going to be doing episodes with my father-in-law going forward with that show, because he's just beyond excited for it, and he knows like all the background, all the lore through the comics and that. And so he thinks he knows what story it really is, and so he's really excited to give his thoughts and share his opinions and all that. Hopefully the show is good, but that's going to be future episodes going forward after today's episode, barring if I see like new movies or something. Most of this show going forward is actually going to be on the Lantern show. I will either have the whole episode be on the Lantern show, or I'll do a little bit of an episode where it's just my father-in-law and I talking about the Lantern show, and then I'll discuss something else again if there's certain movies or anything like that I saw. I have my script out too, so if you see me looking down, it's my iPad. So I need to turn the setting to where the screen doesn't go dark, because it goes dark every 5 seconds. So I keep looking down to touch the screen to not have it do that. But we're in the middle of a podcast episode. So before I dive in House of the Dragon, I want to talk just kind of about, give some updates, what I've been watching and all that kind of fun stuff. I have seen 4 movies very recently. Of course, I saw Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'll talk more about that in a second. But the other 3 movies I saw are all 2026 films. So I saw the drama starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. Had not seen that, so I saw it came out on HBO Max. So my wife and I watched it. Look, not at all what I expected that movie to be like. I don't know why I expected like a rom-com, but I would say even the romance kind of takes a backseat to what that situation is that they're dealing with in the movie. If you've seen the trailer, you know that there's like a secret that she's hiding, but she has to tell everybody. Let's just say that what she told them is not at all what I thought would be said, or not at all what I was expecting. That doesn't mean I didn't like it. I just thought that this movie, I thought it was a little interesting that was the route we took with that, but I mean, it was a good film. I like Pattinson. I like Zendaya. They're in everything nowadays. And so, yeah, it was good. But at the end of the day, I would say I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. So if that tells you to watch it or not watch it, then that's up to you. I saw the new Disney animated show Hoppers. Watched Hoppers for the first time. I really liked Hoppers. I had problems with it as well. But not like anything crazy. Like, I just like what I like, and I really like animated films. And when we got like the animals, like this animal speaking, which sounds really dumb to say out loud, but there's just like this big portion in the middle of the film that I really liked, and the beginning was fine, and the ending was kind of chaotic, but I didn't mind that. I thought it was a good Disney movie. I know it's been a while since they've come out with something that people like genuinely love, but I think that it was really good, and I would recommend family friendly movie. So Hoppers is another one. Then I saw Pressure, starring Brandon Brendan Fraser as he plays Eisenhower, and it's all about the days leading up to D-Day in Normandy. Uh, Essentially, what's the weather going to look like? Obviously, during World War II, they did not have what we have today in terms of technology when they can just like figure out what the weather's going to be like in a week. It's all about them using all these charts and these maps and getting data from all these other weather stations. And they essentially need to forecast for D-Day. Like, can we go? Because if it's going to be a beautiful day, like we're going. If not, we need to push it back. And there's a lot of like internal struggle and a lot of external struggle amongst even the meteorologists, if that's what we're going to call them. And I liked it a lot. I the pressure. I think I really liked the title too. Like, not that I'm like critical of movie titles, but I think there's multiple like pressure, like atmospheric pressure with weather, obviously, and then the pressure to obviously make the right decision and the right call in the moment. And so all this leading up to D-Day and having D-Day officially happen is what this movie's about. Just told more from the perspective of the people who need to determine the weather. And it's only like an hour and 30, hour 40-minute movie, and I really, really liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. Of course, if you're not like a history buff, may not be as fun for you. But I also don't know how historically accurate the film is. But if it is historically accurate, I really like the way they told it. So, Pressure, I believe that's on Peacock. If you've never seen that, so you should definitely go watch that. I really liked it. That was really good. Now let's just talk a little bit about Spider-Man. I went with some friends and my wife to go see Spider-Man: Brand New Day last week. So it's been the second time I had seen the film. And typically, I like to see the film a second time if I'm just like in love with it the first time, because the first time I just kind of like will ignore some things that maybe people don't love about the movie and stuff like that. Well, I decided that's why I wanted to go the second time, because if I go the second time, then obviously I know that, like, I know what happens, like I know how the story goes, like I know the characters, so now I can like really pay attention to some other stuff. And I left the theaters the second time after that movie, and I think I liked it. I think I liked Spider-Man: Brand New Day better the second time I saw it than the first time, which is saying a lot. And like, I'm not joking around when I say it's one of, outside of the Odyssey, Project Hail Mary, and Spider-Man are the top three movies this year for me. In no particular order. I mean, just based on pure entertainment, like Spider-Man could be number one. I absolutely loved Spider-Man. I love the character. I love the grounded story, even though they had to continue the MCU. Again, I've talked about this all in the last podcast. So if you have not listened to the Spider-Man Brand New Day podcast on the Slushy Film channel, go over, watch it on YouTube. Listen to it on Spotify. I talk all about this film. If you've not seen the film, don't go listen to that podcast episode, because I'd spoil like everything. And the whole episode's spoilers, because I'm, like I said in my first like comeback episode, I was like, I'm not here to be super critical anymore. I'm not going to like break down like camera work and like lighting and all that. Of course, if something's like drastically obvious, then I can bring it up, but that's not the point of this. Like, did I enjoy a film? Yes or no? Why or why not? And Spider-Man's one of those films that I more than enjoyed. And the second time was just as good. And I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. I think Brand New Day is better. And I could get slack for this. I think Tom Holland's Brand New Day film is his best Spider-Man movie, which I know some people would just totally disagree with me, especially when you're talking about No Way Home. I've seen that again recently. I think I mentioned it last week, and that kind of like struggled for me, and I thought it wouldn't struggle for me. And so it is what it is, of course. But like at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it's okay. But Spider-Man Brand New Day, super, super good film. I actually would love to go see it again in theaters. So if you've not seen that, go see that. You should definitely go see that. It's made more money than it knows what to do with. It's breaking records. It's also just a really good movie. So go see Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's my last thing I'll talk about with the movies in terms of what I watched. I wanted to talk briefly about a trailer that dropped for the new A24 film Primetime, starring Robert Pattinson, where he plays Chris Hansen, and it's all about like that How to Catch a Predator show that went primetime. I'm only bringing up the trailer because, first of all, the movie looks amazing based on that trailer. But I'm also bringing it up because I think Robert Pattinson, just on that trailer alone, I thought that's Oscar. Like, just his voice is amazing. With like, he sounds just like Chris Hansen. And then also, I'm like, this guy is going to be nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars in 2027 if this movie does well. And this is, I believe, a September release, so we're not too far away from that. And I think it's going to be great. If you've never seen anything about How to Catch a Predator or anything like that, it's all just essentially about Chris Hansen, played by Robert Pattinson, exposing people online who are talking and trying to set up and dates or get-togethers with like underage people. So not great in terms of that's obviously horrible, right? And so this is like, I'm just really excited to see what this movie does because I think people are going to really want to go see it. Pattinson obviously is an A-list name, and just based on that trailer alone, I think it's definitely worth everybody's time to go see that film. So that trailer just dropped. I wanted to briefly talk about that. Wanted to briefly talk about why Pattinson may or may not be a nomination for Best Actor. And of course, he's not even done. He's got another film, at least one more film, maybe even two, that still have to come out this year. So he's a beast and he's rocking it. But Primetime, I will do an episode or a blurb in my future episodes about Primetime, because I definitely will be going to see that in theaters. So, okay. House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon Season 3. If you know me or anybody who watches this show, which is a lot of people, Season 2 ended super flat with a really poor season finale. And people were really frustrated because they were like, when are we going to get to like the battles and a lot of this like craziness of the show that the people keep promising? Well, the beginning of Season 3, we got that. The first episode may have been the best episode of the season, and the second episode was pretty good too. Then we kind of go through this lull, and then we have really good episodes on episode 7 and then episode 8, which is the season finale. So like 1 and 2 and 7 and 8 are really, really good. And that's not to say 3, 4, 5, 6 aren't. That's just to say that a little bit slower, a little bit more dialogue heavy, a little bit more build up, not as much of like the battles and all that kind of stuff, which again is totally fine. And like for budget alone, like I get that. Like you can't have the dragons just be doing everything in every episode because of what the budget is. And so really, really liked Season 3. Definitely better than Season 2. I really loved Season 1. So I still think Season 1 is probably my favorite. But Season 3 was definitely better than Season 2. And I know they wrote this show for 4 seasons. So that obviously means we're going to get a 4th season, which is going to be the finale season. And I mean, again, it's setting up something pretty major to occur. And so I'm not going to get into any spoilers. I'm not going to go crazy on the show because that finale just dropped like 4 days ago from when I'm watching this. So that's something that like I'm not going to break that down. But with the season 4 coming, the expectation is we're going to get a lot more of like the battles, probably a lot more main character deaths, if I had to guess, and a lot of chaos. And so, but season 3 was really good, and you should definitely watch that show if you have any interest in the Game of Thrones world, or if you've seen Game of Thrones. You should definitely watch House of the Dragon, because a lot of the lore and a lot of the stuff they talk about in Game of Thrones is actually stuff that's occurring in House of the Dragon. So definitely watch House of the Dragon. I would recommend it as a show. Each episode's about an hour to an hour and 10. You know, Game of Thrones is known for their long TV episodes, but it was really good. And so I definitely would recommend watching House of the Dragon Season 3. Really good. Season 2, Season 2 was good. It had good episodes, and it had just like some blah episodes. Season 1 was my favorite. So honestly, I'm a big Game of Thrones guy. I love the original Game of Thrones show outside of the last season. And I love House of the Dragon as well. And I should go back and watch Game of Thrones. Now that I'm done with House of the Dragon, I should go back and watch Game of Thrones. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There's a lot coming out right now. And speaking of a lot coming out, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about DCU's new TV show coming out in 3 days. The first episode, hopefully more than just one episode drops, but it's probably just going to be one. Lanterns. I don't know a ton about the Green Lanterns. I don't know a ton about their characters in the comics, the lore. Like, I don't know much about any of that. I just know they have a ring that obviously they create whatever they can think of, like with their mind, if I'm not mistaken, which that makes me sound really stupid. So if that's not the case, I'm so sorry. But I'm super excited about this film. I did not see Supergirl, which was the second film in James Gunn's DCU behind Superman. And this film just like completely catastrophically plummeted, flopped, whatever you want to call it. People did not like it. It lost a ton of money. And from what I saw, it just did not look good. And the story just was eh. And you put all that stuff together, and it makes for not a good reaction and not a good theatrical run. And so it's already been released on digital. Like, it was out of the theaters so quick. Like, they weren't making money on it. theaters were just staying empty, so they pulled the movie. It's now on digital. You can buy it, I think, on Amazon. Once I can watch it for free on HBO Max, I will watch it because I need to keep up with the DCU. But that's the Supergirl's fault, and it just apparently just isn't good. So now we're jumping over to the Lanterns, which is the next project. We have Lanterns, and then we have Clayface in October. So the DCU is going to have 3 projects this year. I don't think I'm missing anything. Did anything come out like in the spring? I don't think anything came out in the spring. Unless it was like a Creature Commandos, which I've seen that too. Wait. No, Peacemaker was last year too. Yeah, I don't think we've had anything since outside of Supergirl. So with this Lantern show, like I've mentioned, my father-in-law will be joining me. The video will look a little bit different when you're watching. He'll be next to me on a camera. Probably just going to do like Zoom, so the quality's not as good. So I apologize in advance. I have amazing cameras that I'm able to use for this podcast, which is why it's so clear. But we're going to be using a computer camera going forward for those episodes. And with that means a little bit more blurry, standard definition, because I don't want to pay for like Zoom or whatever for all that time. So episodes will be no more than 35, 40 minutes because that's all I get in the free plan. But I'm really excited to talk about this show with you guys. I'm really excited to sit down and actually break this down with my father-in-law, which means I really got to lock in when I watch it because he knows everything. And I'm going to try to get him not to spoil stuff, but he loves to talk about the stuff he loves. And so I'm really excited for those future episodes. I think that's something that is different that we've never done on this podcast. You know, I've had however many episodes, 25-ish episodes, I think, of this show, which is great. And I don't think I've had a guest one time with my wife. That was back in February. And that was like a Valentine's Day special episode that we did. But I've never had like a guest on who's going to be the one that's predominantly talking about the show. Like I'm going to be there to help guide that conversation, but my father-in-law is going to be the one talking about all of it. I'll talk about what I liked, maybe what I didn't like, but he's going to have plenty of stuff to say, I'm sure, which is awesome because that's what we want. So definitely stay on the lookout for that. I hope the first episode drops next Friday when normally all these drop, right? And then we'll just go kind of one at a time. And if episodes need to be longer, because I have some other stuff to talk about based on like maybe what I've watched or what I've seen over maybe the past week or whatever, then you could see some longer episodes or some different style video like you'll see right now. And then we may transition to his conversation. It could be one where I just kind of piece them back to back. If you listen to a podcast called The Big Picture, they do that really well. They always have an interview with like a director. And then that goes out like the end of their podcast discussion for that episode. And so we'll probably do something similar to that. If I need to come on and talk about some stuff, like if I want to come on and talk more about Spider-Man Brand New Day, which wouldn't shock me, then I would attach to the beginning, and then I'd be like, all right, we're talking about Lanterns. Like I got to sit down with my father-in-law and have a conversation about episode 1. And so like, you know, enjoy that, and then it'd go over to that. So stay on the lookout for that. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. My iPad, of course, just went dark again. I think it's going to be a ton of fun, and it's something that I think, like I said, it's different. And so I'm excited with this podcast to do that. I'm just excited for this podcast in general, that we're going strong and that people are watching and people may be listening. And I just really appreciate it. Episodes are continuing to drop every Friday. So every single Friday, try to get them out in the mornings. I record sometime during the week, get it edited and sent out to you guys to watch or listen to by Friday morning. Typically around like 9 a.m. is when I like these episodes to drop. So I know this episode was almost kind of a filler episode because we're approaching Lanterns, and Spider-Man had its breakdown episode. The Odyssey had its breakdown episode. Now we're at this kind of filler episode where I'm just talking about what I've been watching, and then what we're looking ahead to. And so now we're just at the part where this is an episode to kind of bridge us to the next week's episode, which is going to be all about Lanterns episode 1, season 1, episode 1. So thank you again for listening. Of course, if you enjoyed this podcast or if you enjoy any of my other podcasts, like please subscribe to the Slushy and Film YouTube channel or the Slushy and Film Podcast page or Spotify page, excuse me. You can also check out content that's dropping just on TikTok. It's not always related to the podcast. It's just like movie and TV show related. A lot of pictures, a lot of text. Trying to just have conversations with people on TikTok, which is a lot of fun. And I also have another podcast that my brother and I do called Two Lads, One League. That's all about the Premier League soccer over in England. And so we've been dropping episodes for that. That's only on YouTube right now. So if you have any interest in that, that's Two Lads, One League over on YouTube. You can subscribe to us there as well. But thank you so much. Like, again, I say it every episode, for love and support that you give for this podcast. And of course, we're just going to keep going because it's something fun. I love talking about this stuff. And I think it's going to be more fun when we have guests. So next week, Lanterns episode 1 review with my father-in-law. From there, you're going to get used to him, and he's going to have a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of fun. So as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening if you're on Spotify, and subscribe, like, comment, all the fun stuff. And hey, I'll see everybody next time.